We are about to embark on an immersive journey through the corridors of our minds. Stand by as we prepare for departure.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to the Productivity with Peace of Mind podcast adventure. Our journey will begin in just a moment. Inhale deeply and exhale. Our voyage takes us on a captivating tour, diving deep into the intricate layers of our thoughts and imagination. Brace yourselves for the complexities of our evolution. For a safe and enjoyable journey, stay seated, secure your helmet and protective goggles, and keep hands, feet, and legs inside while the ride is moving. Now relax and enjoy.
What if I told you that the key to sustainable growth is knowing when to slow down, listen to your own unique needs, and find what uniquely works for you? Today, we have the owners and operators of a farmstead to share how they balance expanding their farm and looking way off into the future and being able to plan for that right now and what they're doing in their everyday business, while also balancing their essential need for rest, play, and break so that they really can grow long term. And I absolutely love this metaphor because, I mean, what better metaphor for life and growth than literally planting seeds and growing something out of our beautiful earth? So, without further ado, let's go to the conversation. Today we have with us Nadia and Diane Honoree Satriano of the Gothic Farmstead. They have a focus on cultivating gourmet mushrooms, specialty produce, and pasture raised ducks and chickens using low till and regenerative agriculture practices. So, we're super excited to learn about this today. And we're going to talk about like our big goals and, really how to tend to our own gardens in our life first, and how you use that with your sustainable growth and rest in your farming business. So welcome, guys. So glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, good to be here.
Mhm.
So we'll start with kind of this big picture goals idea of, growing with intention. And I want to talk about that importance of really staying focused on that big picture. And I know for you guys, we talked about that it's those best-selling mushrooms that you guys grow and sell and is a big part of your farm. So how are you strategically planning to double that production without overextending yourselves? Like, how are you building in that growth without burning out?
Mm, Good question. Um, it's really been a learning curve, and we're working on it every day. But we've started growing, taking what we grow inside, and also moving that outside so that we can grow more outside with a little bit less labor and letting nature kind of do more of its thing instead of trying to control everything. And then we also forage, which has been great because that's kind of like a win-win. We get out in nature, we're hiking, we're grounding ourselves, and we're also finding really beautiful mushrooms. And then some of them we can sell, and it becomes a part of our business as well.
Yeah. Another, I guess just to add to that, how we're growing the mushroom business is like we want to figure out a way to kind of expand on our space because we're already finding that we're outgrowing the space we're growing in already. So again, putting the
Yeah.
mushroom aside
Yeah.
and finding more sustainable ways to grow them, like reusing buckets, has been a really
Yeah.
nice way to grow our mushrooms. And so, and we're able to reuse the spawn in that way. So just trying to find ways to use what we have and reusing what we have in order to save money while still growing the product. So that's been something we've been trying to do. And we're hosting like a farm fundraiser harvest party in October to also get some of that community support to help expand. So hopefully we can get a bigger space that we can grow more efficiently. But yeah, so
Yeah, that's amazing. And, there's so many intricacies that we don't always think of ahead of time as we do grow and expand. And like you're talking about, okay, now we need like a bigger space and we need a different place to do this. And what resources can we reuse or what can we repurpose so that we're not over, expending where we don't need to.
Yeah. A lot of mushrooms get grown in bags, and
single
that's
use.
all fine and good. You know, you got to do what you got to do, but those are a single use bag, and then they end up in the trash, and none of that feels good for us. So,
Yeah.
it's just part of the business, but also trying to find ways to eliminate so much waste and find
Yeah.
in more sustainable ways. It's really important to us.
Yeah, it's really cool the way that you guys, when we talk about our big picture vision, like you have a really clear idea of like what are my values, what's important to me as I work toward that, because then you have those little things of like, yeah, the plastic going into the earth doesn't feel great for me. So what can I shift or what can I change? So I love the way that you guys approach that.
Yeah, definitely. It's important. And we want to be as closed circle, is that the term?
Yeah.
Farm as possible. And so that's part of it. Maybe eventually we'll figure out how to grow our own spawn. That's kind of like a dream. No pressure.
Getting really sciencey.
Yeah.
We'll
That's
see.
eventual. 10 years.
Yeah, but it's important to have those big dreams, right? Like tell us a little bit more about your long-term vision for the land and the orchard and like what you're doing now. So like I know when we were planning this episode, we were talking about kind of like that working backwards that you guys are doing of, what are you doing today that's going to impact you, your business, your farm, your customers and all of that in the next 10, 20, and even 30 years.
Yeah, we are working, excuse me, we are working on establishing an orchard, and we've planted trees already a few times, and not all of them survived. We weren't fully equipped to take care of them the way that we thought we were. It just got really hard to get out to where we planted them, and there were a lot of lessons learned in the 2 years already. Like, start closer to the house and make sure your lawnmower works so you can get out. Little things. But we are working with our local NRCS, and I don't know what that stands for. I am so sorry.
Hang on.
We'll look it up. I can never remember.
Yeah.
And then the Natural Resources Conservation Service, and we're also working with our local Soil and Water Conservation District to get some really cool plans for an orchard that also works as a food forest and also maybe involves alley cropping and things like that. So it's really essentially an orchard that functions as so much more than an orchard, and it will take 5 years minimum for anything to start really showing. But then some of those nut trees, like, we may not even really reap the benefits of that, and that's okay, because whoever comes to this property after us will have so much going for them already. And I love that we can set up the next generation or the next person here for success, and we can set up a lot of the community in the future for success with what we plan on growing.
Yeah, like it's we're like the fruits and the nuts that we want to grow and provide, it's things that we don't really see that are local in the community, and so we want to really try to just provide things we don't see here. And so, and that includes mushrooms too. So it's really cool that we have this amazing asset, which is this land, and then there's also desire to grow, like in order to provide things like for the community.
Yeah, and we've been really lucky to
sorry.
yeah. we've been really lucky to have really good resources out here, like the soil and water people. They have been so helpful, and they have a tree sale every year, and they reach out to us whenever there's a grant that they think
Mhm.
would be beneficial for us. And they want to write it with us. They're like, how can we make sure that you can get this grant if it works for you? And they've just been amazing. So have just finding those really great free resources in our county and in our state has been so helpful. I would recommend to anybody who is farming or wants to farm or anything, with their land, just find your local county offices and extension offices and meet those people, because they're
They
such
wanna
an
help.
asset and they want to help for sure.
That's amazing. And it's such a cool, like what you're literally doing is such a good metaphor for life, business, like any project we create, right? Like you're literally planting seeds, like actual seeds in
Yeah.
the actual earth that are
Yeah.
going to reap benefits years from now, and then for years and like many, many, many years to come, to not only feed yourself and your community now, but the communities to come and the communities in the future. So I think it just speaks to that importance of patience
Yeah.
and like trusting the journey, trusting the process. And I know you guys talked about that a lot when we were planning for this episode. And when I first met you guys, I was actually visiting, Pine City, where you guys are located, and which is my hometown. And I was with my mom, and we were visiting the farmers market, and we found your stand, and just I could just tell, like, you're doing something meaningful, you're doing something important, and the love and the care and the intentionality behind everything you're doing, it just oozes from you guys. So I think the give back and the like the bountifulness of what you're doing is just going to continue to grow tenfold.
Oh, thank you.
That means a lot to me. I could cry. It's honestly, it's been amazing. The journey has been amazing. I feel like every step that we've taken has just we've gotten so much support and positive feedback, and like it's just been all the more encouraging to keep going, even on the hardest days. Like we know there's nothing else we want to do.
Yeah.
And so like that's just like, oh, you're like, okay, we just gotta keep going.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
end goal has not changed, even though our conditions, have
Yeah.
changed. And like the horrible wet spring that we had,
Yeah.
followed by an intense heat,
Yeah.
followed by more rain. It was just terrible and bizarre, and our conditions were constantly changing. But knowing what the end goal is keeps us on track, even when
Definitely.
everything is working against us. So
Definitely.
yeah, having a goal has made all the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like your belief in it, right? Like the why of like
Yeah.
like this is what I'm committed to, and I'm willing to do the hard thing either way, and kind of move through those difficult challenges, because challenges and setbacks are inevitable in any project or pursuit that we go on, right? And so how do you guys, I know we talked about this a little bit of like, and you mentioned it a little bit, the rain and the heat, and again, this is like such a good metaphor for like everything, right?
Yeah.
Like what you're literally doing is like a metaphor for life. But
Yeah.
we can't control the weather, we can't control those things. So how do you stay resilient and adapt in the face of some of those uncontrollable external factors?
Yeah. Well, one thing that just came to mind is we can't, like you said, we can't control anything else, but we can control our own attitude and the way that we
Yeah.
look at a situation. And I know that when we were looking at our gardens and just wanting to cry, because we knew that everything that we worked really hard for in the last week or month was all for nothing, and it just felt like just utter destruction. And um we were fighting with the feeling of feeling like
Negative.
losers or failures or whatever, word you want to put to that in
Yeah.
your own life. And I remember thinking about some of our friends who farm and who do it different than us. So we grow vegetables and mushrooms, and we raise our birds for eggs. We don't eat them. And we have friends who are meat farmers, and we were thinking about them and how, well, if a tornado came through and destroyed their farm and killed all of their animals, we wouldn't look at them and say, wow,
Losers.
what a loser.
Right,
What
right.
a failure.
It's not
You
their
didn't stop the
fault.
tornado. And then dead.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we
You
gotta
would
show
never do
ourselves that
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
acceptance and kindness.
Yeah.
And and just also knowing that, well, I think also talking to other farmers and business owners in general they all face struggles. They
Yes.
all struggle throughout. And my dad is a businessman and an entrepreneur. So like I actually get a lot of advice and inspiration from him because he's been doing this 50 years. Like it's his whole life. And like he'll like I'll be talking to him and he'll just be like, yeah, well, good things take time. And just like just repeating that, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna have your bad years. And every bad season or every hard experience is a lesson.
Yeah.
Every failure is a lesson. And we have learned the most valuable lessons this year.
We've learned so much.
We learned what we don't want to do.
Yep.
We learned how we want to grow and how we want to change our growing methods. And gosh, like it's a good thing that happened now before we had 50 CSA customers or something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Like it's really like all these lessons are great to be learning right now.
Yeah.
That's what I remind myself.
We had maybe a 10-person CSA this year.
10, yeah.
And if we had a good season this year and then faced all of these troubles next year, we would have felt really confident from this year. And then we would have said, well, we can do 20 or 30 customers. And then that lesson would have felt a lot harder to learn. So I agree that it's great that we learned this lesson with only 10 people to let down. And they were all really great.
They were great. They're the best. I love our customers.
Oh, that's awesome. I love the gratitude around it. That's one piece that I really like about what you said of like, how can I be thankful that I learned this, and how can I look at this as a good thing or a blessing in what I'm learning and how I'm growing and when it's happening and how I can use that to leverage my further growth later. Yeah, the other thing I really like about what you said is like recognizing these thoughts that we can have around like that was a waste or I was a failure, and then flipping it to what would I tell someone else? What would I say to my neighbor, a friend? Like what if a dear friend goes through something? You would never say to them, gosh, you're such a loser, right? Just like your example of your neighbor farmer and your fellow farmers of, and then posing that question of, can I talk to myself in the way that I would talk to someone else I care deeply for who's going through a similar scenario?
Yeah, right. We had a fellow that's the word. We had a fellow farmers market vendor who was there initially to sell her produce and her meat, and her gardens got flooded this year, and she told us that, she had to cancel her CSA, and she had a lot more customers than us. And I can't imagine telling her she did a bad job because she worked really, really hard. And to be able to relate to somebody who's struggling instead of beat ourselves up, and it's been really helpful. And I think I've learned a lot about the way I talk to myself this year. I am very hard on myself. A lot of people are, we're all our own worst critics. And I just would never want to criticize somebody the way I criticize myself. And I'm getting a lot better at it.
Good.
Yeah.
I know that's really, it's a thing she does a lot.
Yeah, I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Terrible thing.
Yeah, I can absolutely relate to that. And I know a lot of, people listening to this are also high achievers, and they feel the same way. They're hard on themselves. They want to do a good job. And so it's very relatable, that human essence of like, how am I talking to myself? And is it helpful? I think is a really good question too, of like, is this thought helping me? Thinking you're a failure probably will make you feel worse, right? When you look at it logically, like in the moment it
Yeah,
feels like the right reaction, but when
right.
you reflect, it doesn't make as much sense.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah. Good point.
Mhm.
And I know we talked about like self-sufficiency and financial independence as goals that you guys have because we talk about community and that's very important as well, but also to be able to rely on yourself and be independent is very important. So talk to us a little bit about that challenge of, meeting the high demand of your growing business and growing, customer base while still staying true to that original goal of also feeding yourselves first.
Yeah, that's been something we've been struggling with because when we were trying with our CSA for the first, I think 2 months we tried to give it, and we were debating on doing the third month when we realized every
Feeding.
single thing that we grew in the garden, we had to give up for CSA.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we were eating nothing
We were
except
eating
for the
pizza.
ugliest produce that we couldn't possibly give to somebody.
Oh,
And like frozen pizza,
Yeah, and
that
mac
is
and
not
cheese.
the goal.
Yeah.
That's not what we want
pizza is
for.
not the goal. What?
I mean, to be fair, pizza is my goal most of the time, but not frozen.
No.
And it felt like, we were giving up exactly what we were saying we wanted and what we said we wouldn't give up. And we were doing that because of a promise that we couldn't keep. So, um, realizing that we don't have to grow produce for everyone now, we can grow it for ourselves and we can enjoy it and stay true to the goal of feeding ourselves. And we can shift what we're growing to mushrooms and find
Yeah,
ways to feed people,
in other ways.
yeah, in a way that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise, which is
Right.
really cool because there's
It's good.
one really really strong vegetable vendor at the produce who just always has all the things, and then
Mm,
there's two more who have a lot, no, three more who have a lot of vegetables.
Yep.
And then there's us, and we were bringing just a little bit, and it felt like, why are we doing this? Why are we bringing
yeah.
3 baskets of tomatoes when just down the way you can get a bushel or a basket?
Mhm.
And we can bring mushrooms, and we're the only ones in our farmers market who have mushrooms. So let's make our money that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And just but still like wanting to expand and make enough.
Meeting high demand.
It is something that we are working on consistently.
Mhm.
We just had a conversation, like a really long conversation the other day about how we're actually going to like grow in a
Yeah.
way where we're not stretching ourselves too thin. So
Mhm.
it's a process. We are, and it's our second year, so we're still trying to figure out that formula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have like a very clear cut answer yet, but it's like day by day, and just I think the best thing we can do is continue to set up systems that are very efficient, that kind of do most of the work for us. And
Mhm.
I have one example is the chicken tractor. We have like the chicken coop that we have, it's mobile,
Mhm.
and we just have to take the truck and just drag drag
We pull it out
pull
into the pasture.
the chickens into the pasture that way. Last year we didn't have that. We had to wrangle our chickens ourselves,
Yeah.
airplane arms them out into the pasture.
Yeah.
It was
And then back
stupid.
every night. Oh my gosh.
And it took up so much time.
And then every time we moved
Mhm.
it, I mean, chickens are sweet creatures, but they are so dumb.
Yeah.
There's no saying otherwise,
Well, they get into
like,
their habits, and
yeah.
it's hard to change their
So
habits.
you shift things, even just 30 or 50 feet to the left, and they cannot figure it
They
out.
can't figure it
They're
out.
like, well, this is where I was yesterday, so
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
yeah,
And it was crazy. It took us so long.
yeah. But now this year, because of the mobile coop, like we just open the door, they're where they're supposed to be for the week, and it's
Yeah.
fine. And
Yeah.
it's just so much. And so it's like that's like one example of how we can
Mhm.
grow our business without stretching ourselves too thin with all the things we have to do.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to figure out like other things. Just trying to figure it out. Yeah.
It's a great example. And also just the idea of like some of these things are day by day. And like, can we check in regularly with ourselves to see like, am I still on track? Am I still like, what are the things that are maybe creeping away from my intention and the way I wanted my life to look like? And what are the things that are on track? And what adjustments do I need to make? So I love that call out that you said of like, it's day by day. And you say like, I don't have it figured out yet, but like, I don't think we'll ever all have it figured all out, right? Like each new level and layer and step and thing that we evolve into and develop, it's going to bring new ways to reevaluate. So I think that that's such a good actually point that you make is we're all still figuring it out. And those regular check-ins with ourselves is so important to understand, like, am I still doing what I originally set out to do? And if I am, great. How can I reinforce that? If I'm not, where do I need to pivot?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We had this whole season has been like that.
yeah, there have been
a lot of pivoting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a year of pivoting, I feel like, for a lot of people.
I think so. I've noticed that. And that's another thing. We're not alone.
no.
Yeah, we're not alone in our struggles.
It seems like every one of our friends is talking about something different, something drastically different, and it's really interesting to see kind of this mentality shift in our, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's wider than that, but yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
A lot of people find what their higher path, goal is, and we can start seeking those things out and working towards them. It'd be nice. It was the best thing in the world when you were able to exit the corporate job and step away from it. It was the most healing thing for you.
Yeah,
And
I'm a better person
I want
now.
that. I want that for everybody.
I'm more poor, but not spiritually.
Right. Yeah. It's like, in what way?
Yeah. Gosh.
I like that.
Yeah.
Our health and our well-being is so much more important than money. And money is very important. Money is how we survive. It's how we, live, you know, go experience amazing things. It gives us choices. Like, by no means am I saying money is not a good thing, because I think money is incredible. It's an incredible tool to do great things. And it should never be prioritized before our own well-being. So I think that's a great thing that you did for yourself, if that was an experience that wasn't serving you, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. It's everyone needs to find their thing that
Yeah.
gives them meaning and makes them feel good and allows them to live their life the way that they want to live it. And for us, this is the way. And we're meeting people who feel the same, and we're also meeting people who feel very different, but balance us out too. We have counterbalances and people who feel differently. So I think it's important to get more views and not just focus on saying, well, farming is the only way forward, because not everyone in the world needs to farm for this.
Right. Yeah.
But I would love it if a few more people did.
More small farmers.
Yeah.
Specifically around here.
Yeah.
In our town.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you've struggled with, workaholism and this struggle to take time for rest so that, we can take care of our health and well-being and fully function the way we want to. So tell us a little bit about like how you set boundaries, and you can talk to that shift too of like going from corporate to your farm, and like if that workaholism followed you, right?
Yeah.
But I would argue that you're a lot less rigid.
Okay.
Now.
That's good.
Nice.
When she was working from home on the computer all day, she would skip her lunch break, or she would start her lunch break and then hear her computer make a noise, and then set her whatever setting as back at work and just do the work that they messaged her about instead of saying, I'll get to it as soon as I'm done on lunch. She would just work through it, and it drove me crazy, because
People pleaser.
you are a people pleaser, you darling. But you gotta take care of yourself. And it's been cool to see your shift in how you manage your time now, because she'll make her to-do list and then she'll put fun stuff on it. And I love that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you need to put fun stuff on the to-do list.
Yeah. But you never used to give yourself that ability when you were working 9 to 6. It was just work from 9 to 6 and then dinner and relax in bed. And that was it. But now, on the other day, it was a Monday, and we said, let's go drink wine at a winery for lunch. And
to
we
be fair,
did,
we
and
had
it was
a
great.
really, we would work like 7 or 8 days in a row before that.
But we wouldn't have had to work 7 or 8 days in a row to give ourselves a day off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're just trying to to-do lists, scheduling in breaks, scheduling in fun stuff, and just patience with myself, and you talked a lot about me, so now I'm uncomfortable.
I took a nap today.
Nice.
I did. I'm gonna show you why. Hang on.
Oh my gosh. This is so stupid.
No, don't say that.
I'm sorry. This is cute.
This is my son.
Oh,
He's the Sandman. And he sat upon my lap, and I fell asleep for hours. I don't know how long it was. My head was all wonky. I had a blanket up and a cat on my lap, and I knocked out. And when I woke up, I felt so good. Slightly groggy.
You needed it.
But I felt so good. And there's no guilt there. Nadia got a lot of work done while I napped.
I did.
But I really needed it.
I finished a YouTube video.
Yeah. And
nice. I saw that on your stories.
Oh yeah. Felt good. Yeah.
So. But it's not always easy. I used to feel really guilty taking a nap because there's always something that needs doing, but also my battery needs recharging. And
it's realizing that there's always gonna be something to be done. Like it's never gonna stop.
Right.
But that's okay to stop, because it's
your chores aren't going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere.
The to-do list will still be there.
Yeah. And if you focus all your time on it, you'll just have a continuous to-do list anyway. So take a break. Yeah. Close your eyes.
Yeah. Is that difficult to do you think? Because you guys, when you live where you work and you work where you live, that can kind of add on this extra layer of a challenge for setting those boundaries, whether it's with other people or with yourself.
Yeah, it is because, like, when do you stop actually? For me, I'm not burnt out yet. I don't know. It's
I hope you never are.
Let's not work towards that.
Yeah. I love being outside. I love working. I love the animals. And they force me to stop every time because they're so freaking cute, and they're doing the nuttiest things. I just like watch them.
They're so distracting.
It's great. So it's like there's like already built-in breaks just by going outside. But but I also, scheduling time away from the farm, scheduling afternoons with friends, going to the Ren Fest, and like having board night games, like just having kind of scheduled fun has been so important to us. And we used to like see our friends a lot more who lived in the cities because we all lived nearby. And so, and like we never took that for granted, but I do miss that now, like being so close to our friends. So I really value the time we do get to hang out with them and spend time with them, and we both really value.
We're really lucky to have a very dedicated friend group when we make plans. Like,
and they love hanging out here too.
Yeah, and we we make plans, we put it on the calendar, and we don't cancel. We make those things happen
Yeah.
because it is so, like, those times are sacred,
Yeah.
and spending time with our people,
Yeah.
our very best friends, it is so rejuvenating. And we always leave feeling like just full, our
Yeah.
hearts are full,
Mhm.
our energy is up,
Yeah.
and we feel empowered and encouraged and validated, and we've vented if we need to vent, and we get to just get so built up with our friends. So it's it's been the biggest thing for us, I think, is making those plans to leave the farm and see people
Yeah. Just even
on
yeah,
occasion.
just a few hours is all because I love being home too.
Yeah, we're both homebodies.
We're little hermits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about like guilt? Like if we feel, guilt around taking those breaks or, stepping away from the work to go have fun, to go play. How do we handle that or how have you faced that feeling as you transitioned from more of that workaholism to really prioritizing rest and play and fun and connection the way you do now?
Um, gosh, I don't know if this is healthy, but for me, um, it is kind of based off of like how much I got done on that yeah, leading up to it. Like if I know that we have something coming up that's like going to take me away
Mhm.
for a whole day, then I do a lot
You work really hard leading up to
leading
having
up to it.
fun.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And I don't do it in a way that is unhealthy to me,
Hmm.
but
Right.
it really that's the way I can manage the guilt. And because then I don't feel guilty, then it's like, no, this is awesome because the house is clean and it'll be clean when I
Hmm.
get home. And
Yeah.
we sold 10 packages of mushrooms, so I feel really freaking good, or
Yeah.
I've got the website updated. I feel really good about that.
Yeah.
I do something that's been on my mind personally that um that is kind of drudgery, to the stuff I don't want to do. And then when it's done, I feel like I can play and it feels good. Like that's
Hmm.
how I kind of balance it.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, I I'm a little bit more lax, and I I don't let I try not to let those things stress me out because I I know how much I need it. I get really grumpy, if I don't have my escape, and
Mm.
I just absolutely need it. So I also like to find a way to make an off-farm event slightly productive.
Oh,
So if we go south 30 minutes to do something, then we're also close to our favorite feed store. And we make a
Mm,
point to go to the feed store and eliminate that task later. Or
yeah.
if we're driving down to the city, then we hit up the Costco and we
get your
fill the gas
fill.
tank and a slice of pizza and some, massive bag of flour for baking and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
trying to find a way to make something productive, or going to the pet store,
Right.
whatever it is, there's always something we can do
Right.
that can make any distraction feel a little bit more productive. And that's really helpful too.
That's
But
that's true. I do that a lot.
yeah, yeah, when we go down to the city to play D&D, it puts us right next to the Petco, and then we go to Petco, and it feels really good. Like,
Yeah.
well, we got our cats food, and now we don't have to do it later, even if it wasn't necessarily time. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just little things, I guess. I try really hard not to let it stress me out, though.
Yeah. We need it.
I like to.
Yeah, and I think like what you're both saying like really speaks to the ability to prioritize and be really efficient with what you're committed to, right? So it's like it's not that it's unhealthy that you put in a lot of work before you go have fun because what you're doing is just prioritizing your time, energy, and commitments to I want to create this thing. I created it. I feel amazing. Now I'm going to go have fun and play. Like I think that's an amazing balance. And then also like I'm going to the city to go see friends, and I'm going to stop at the feed store and pick up what I need for the farm or for the animals or whatever. Like, I think that's an amazing overlay of really being intentional on what you're doing and why, right? It's not even about like overworking. It's that balance, and like you said, it's healthy for me. Like that's the balance that works for me. And so to be able to recognize that, I think could be really helpful.
Yeah, yeah. A lot
Mhm.
of people, they need that reward for the work and just finding, whatever it is that works for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's great. Like for some people I'm gonna go on a 20-mile bike ride, but at the end of it is a brewery with my favorite beer
Right.
or my
True.
favorite pizza place. And
Yeah.
and just finding that reward for your hard work.
Definitely.
And don't short yourself because
Mm.
you deserve a
And life is
reward
short.
for your hard work.
Well, life is short. Life is short to be feeling guilty. We're not gonna be doing that.
It's not easy though.
No, I know.
Yeah. I totally agree. It goes back to like talking to ourselves like we would a friend, right? Like what
Yeah.
would you tell the friend or the neighbor or, a family member that you care deeply about? So, and then flipping that to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. It's also like this is slightly different, but I know we've accomplished a lot this year. And we have a lot to be really proud of compared to where we were last year. So
Mhm.
um I have such high expectations for this business and this farm and what we want to do, but and I want to be so much further. Obviously, I can't speed time up though and get there. So it's just really taking time to reflect. Also, it's like, okay, we're really hard workers
Mhm.
and we know what we want to achieve, and that's really nice that where we are now, like we have a lot to be proud of.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, we have a lot to be proud of.
we do.
So,
And just this whole thing, it's we're planting seeds and seeds take time to grow.
yeah,
And
yeah,
knowing
we love
that, yeah,
potatoes.
knowing that it takes time and you're going to put in hard work and the germination period might be way longer than you like.
Yeah.
Like for celery, it
Oh
can
my
be
gosh, so
literally 3 weeks for
oh
a seed to sprout at all.
ugh.
Come on. But, then it grows and it takes a long time still, and the reward is worth it.
Yeah,
And
it's nice.
yeah, just understanding that it's not easy to see, like another example, watching your loaf of bread bake. It's going to take so long if you just sit there and focus on it and stare
Yeah.
at it and wait for your results. But to give ourselves life distractions and other things kind of,
Makes it interesting.
yeah, helps us to be distracted enough to not worry about how long it's taking, and then to be
Yeah.
able to step back and see that reward from a different perspective, I guess. If you are looking at something every single day, it's hard to see how it's
The
changing.
progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you aren't focused on it, you can really notice those changes, I think.
Mm.
And so I can imagine specifically with farming that can take a physical and mental toll on you as you're working in that specific, industry and business. As each business has their own ways that it takes its toll on us. So, how do we manage our mental and physical health when we're also working hard at the same time?
Mm. For me personally, it's getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
Like I am very
Prioritizing
food
sleep.
motivated and sleep motivated. So I take care of myself when it's hard to stop whatever I'm doing. I take care of myself when I'm hungry because I know that if I don't eat, I'm going to get crabby, and I don't even want to be around myself when I'm crabby. So
Yeah. Same.
that saying when I can't do a task anymore, like I can't do anything else tonight. I need to go to bed. I need to take a shower and go to bed. And also going for me, it's the chiropractor.
Yes.
Mhm.
Getting a little neck massage and a little cracking happening, and the occasional acupuncture um, has been really helpful for my body. And also taking time to stretch and meditate. We're not always consistent, but we're trying to be.
Yeah.
Even just 5 minutes stretching makes a huge difference for my body. So, even when it feels really hard to stop, it's it's really important for me to just take that break, take
Mhm.
5 minutes to stretch and eat a snack and drink some water. And even if I have to take an afternoon off to go to the chiropractor,
Yeah.
you're always very encouraging, and I appreciate that.
I journal every day. I try to, and I am trying to get into doing meditation every day, just even 5 minutes.
Hmm.
And stretching. We're trying to prioritize stretching
Yeah.
and just taking, like, even if I'm just waiting for the coffee to for the water for the coffee to boil, I'll just stretch during that time. I'm trying to just like small things like that are
Mhm.
actually really beneficial.
Yeah. Well, and we watched a documentary about the Blue Zone documentary. It was very
I love that
interesting.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about just the simple things that keep people in good health, and that's
Yeah.
community and rest and movement. Just for us, we're moving constantly,
Yeah.
but changing that movement
Yeah.
instead of carrying 50-pound bags of feed and moving bales of straw, um, changing that movement to a light stretch or yoga session, and just, yeah, being gentle on ourselves as much as we can anyway.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's been a big thing for us to recharge and take care of our bodies.
Those are all really good. And also, what I'm hearing is like really understanding what works for you and
Mhm.
like what you need in order to operate in the most optimal way for what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
For some
Exactly.
people, it's the gym, and for some,
Yeah.
it's going on a run or playing a video game. It doesn't matter what it is for you if what you're doing is taking care of yourself and getting your recharge.
Mhm.
That's what matters.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. That's amazing. And so, for anyone out there listening who is maybe either a farmer or an entrepreneur, or they're working on some kind of project or their own career, what's the final thing you want to leave them with on how to balance their growth with that self-care and how to really make sure that both coincide in a way that allows them to operate in the best way that they can?
I think of the, tending our own gardens, and how everybody's journey looks so different. Everybody's garden looks so different.
That's
Yeah.
But when you tend your own garden first, when you put your high priority things first, you're better for it. Everything you do is better for it, and your relationships are better for it. So even if you think that doing the most and working the hardest and hustling constantly is the best thing you can do for yourself or your family, remember that really taking care of yourself and your most basic needs is actually probably the best thing you can do for yourself and your family, because everything you do after you've taken care of yourself will be done with more care and
true.
more precision, and you'll just be happier for it.
Yeah.
Working ourselves to death is not good for anybody. So
Yeah. That's how
finding,
injuries happen, especially
yeah,
on the farm.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So just finding what it is for you. Um,
I would say, just to add to that, just be really clear about what you're trying to achieve and
yes.
have a 5-year plan in your
Mhm.
business. Have a 10-year plan. Like
Yeah.
we're like I know where I want to be in 5 years with this business. I know where I want to be in 10 years with this business. And like having these kind of
Clear
goals will really help you manage your day to day. Like it will make everything and the challenges all worth it and help you prioritize the things that need to be prioritized.
Yeah.
That's me. It has such you're like, oh man, I've only been doing this 2 years. I don't have any advice for anyone. But,
like, I mean, it takes 10 years for a farmer to be considered not
a beginner
farmer.
Crazy.
You know, we spend 10 years learning how to farm so that we can do it right.
Wow.
And we're only on year 2. So
that's awesome.
That's great. That means that by the time we get to year 10, we'll have a lot more figured out.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That'll be nice.
Well, that's amazing. And I think, it's a great point that we're always figuring it out and just having those real and honest conversations with ourselves. And, like you said, tending to our gardens and really making sure that we care for ourselves in the way that works for us and in a way that is balanced and feels balanced for us so that we can go out into the world and do our own thing, whatever that is for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also don't be afraid of the change because there's constant change. Everything that we're doing is just in a constant influx always. So having clear goals, but also not being afraid of that goal potentially changing. Understanding when a goal can or should pivot is really important. So be forgiving of yourself, be gentle with yourself, and have your clear goal in mind and know that it might not look the same when you get there.
Right.
You see it in the distance and it might not be incredibly clear until you're a lot closer. So just be good to yourself. That's really the best thing I can say.
Words.
Be good to yourself.
Yeah.
Truly so good. I couldn't have said it better myself. And if anyone wants to follow your journey and watch this evolution of growth and the gardens and the orchards and every beautiful thing that you guys are creating, they can follow you on almost lost my voice there, on Instagram and YouTube, and it's just the Gothic Farmstead. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everywhere. We're there on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube,
and our
website.
Yeah.
Which I need to
And I'll link all of that in the show notes as well, so they can find that very easily. And I'm just so grateful both that I met the two of you at the farm, at your farm stand in the farmers market in Pine City, and that you offer to share your time and your wisdom. And, like you said, you're only 2 years in, but that's 2 years of learning and richness and experience that you can now share. And you know what, when we get to that 10-year mark, we'll bring you back and we'll hear what else you guys have learned and what else you have to share.
That's a deal. That's a deal. I love that.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for your time today. This was amazing.
Thank you so much.
It's been a blast.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you.
Yeah.
This has been really healing, even just talking about this.
Thank you for braving the inside of your mind with me. The better we understand ourselves, the more deeply we understand the world, and as our awareness grows, life just gets better and better. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a review and share this with anyone else you think could benefit from listening. A quick reminder that the content shared in this podcast is for informational purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, and the discussions here are not a substitute for professional advice. If you're dealing with a specific issue or need personalized guidance, please consult with a qualified professional. Your well-being is important, and this podcast is simply a platform for sharing insights and experiences. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Until next time.